She said, I've always been interested in Charlotte Mason. How would you work such a book-based approach with a little hyperactive man that shows very little interest in sitting down for any kind of classic work, chapter books, poetry, etc.?
Yeah, it's a great question. Number one, he doesn't have to sit down.
Yes.
Let him
I
move
love that.
as long as it's not distracting. Some kids learn better if they can move.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to sit down. Um, and what you can do, yes, Charlotte Mason is very much, many of the subjects are book based, but we're using stories, we're using literary books, not textbooks.
Yes. That's
So
a
you can
difference.
still use a book, but you can, this is the beauty of Charlotte Mason's methods. You can level those methods up or down to fit where your child is. So, yes, we're going to use what we call a living book. And that's a book that makes the subject come alive because it
Right.
is written in usually literary form. And you can see what's happening in your mind's eye as it is
Right.
read. All right, so start with a very short section
Uh-huh.
or even a short book. There are some great literary books that are short. And you don't have to read, even if it's a longer book, you don't have to read a whole chapter at a time.
That's a
You
great
can start with a
advice.
very short segment, and then another aspect of the method is you can then invite the child to tell back to you what they remember from what you read. And that's called narration. That is
Yes.
a Charlotte Mason method, rather than asking those questions that make them shut down.
Right.
We are
Exactly.
we are inviting them to put it in their own words and tell us back. Now, some children really struggle with that, my daughter included. We're at the point now where she can write some of it. And
Oh, wow.
that seems to help. It bypasses. But you can do
Right.
other things. Before she could write, I would have her draw a picture of what happened in the story
Yes.
today.
Uh-huh.
And then I always wanted to try to get her to communicate with me because
Yeah.
so much of Charlotte Mason methods are relationship building.
I love that. Yeah.
And and so that's what you want to focus on. And so she would draw her picture, and it was very primitive because we have big struggles with fine motor skills. And then I would say, "Tell me about your picture." And I discovered something. I stumbled upon this, so let me just share it. It might
Yeah.
help somebody else.
Uh-huh.
If I would say, "Tell me about your picture,"
Uh-huh.
boom, she would shut down because I was staring at her and it was freaking her
Right.
out.
Yep. Did
So instead, I would have her draw her picture on this side, this page over here, and then I would take the facing page and I'd grab a pencil and I would say, "Tell me about your picture." And I would poise the pencil there and look down at the paper and wait. And she would often, not always, often give me a few words, a phrase, maybe a sentence. I would look up and I'd say, "Yes." And then I would look down and I would write that sentence and I would take my time with it. And then I would look up and say, "Anything else you want to tell me?" And usually, in the time it took for me to write that, she had thought of another sentence
Right.
because I had taken away the direct gaze
Right. There,
threat.
you just stress. I just kind of shut
Exactly.
down and
Yeah.
yeah.
But we do that with our other kids. That eye contact and the smile and the nod is
Yeah.
considered encouraging and drawing it out, but
Right.
not with
Yeah.
our
Not
autistic children.
exactly.
So